Obviously, all I'll say is one of our franchisees just bought a Porsche. He drives a better car than me. We've got a Ram. We've got too many Raptors to count. So, yeah, a lot of them drive better cars than me. So it's probably a really good reflection of how the fees work as well.
Right. So welcome to the Gyms podcast. Today I've got with me a very special guest, which is Paul Sandles. And Paul was great enough. I remember back in the day, probably 3 or 4 years ago, we did do this. I think you're one of the original people we did the sit-down divisional.
Yeah, we did. It was almost an hour. And it's still amazing how many times I will talk to prospects and they say that they talk like they already know me because of that interview, and they know a lot about us already, which is great. So that's why I thought it might be worthwhile coming back in and having a refresh. We've obviously made a lot of improvements and changes in that time, but we get a lot of people mentioning that, which is great.
Well, that's why we got you to talk about all these initiatives that you're doing in the division, which is great. It's hit 40 franchisees for the first time, which is awesome.
Yes,
So it's a really good milestone as well. And Gyms Diggers is something which I think, I don't know if it comes to people's mind first, but it is something where I do hear from franchisees and see them, and they're all very happy. And they love what they do. So it'd be great just to talk about this division in full and give it the credit and the attention that it deserves. And let's just start real quickly first about something that you've just improved into the division, which was the pay for work guarantee. So we're going to talk about that and what you've done with that. Yeah.
So look, every division within Gyms Group obviously offers a pay for work guarantee, and it's paid out in different ways, and obviously also the amount changes from division to division. So ours is one of the highest, if not the highest. So our pay for work guarantee is $3,000 a week. And what the pay for work guarantee is there for is to give you that comfort that you're making a change, okay? And you're going to be able to pay the mortgage, pay the rent, pay the car payments, obviously pay the fees associated with the Gyms Diggers business. And it's basically what we do is pay you to do marketing activities, okay? So a lot of divisions like mowing, dog wash, cleaning will pay to do free jobs. We basically don't take the machine off the trailer for less than $550. So we don't do free jobs, but we'll just pay the guys to do marketing that we know will generate work. And it's not anything complex. I mean, it literally is, we pay them $20 to be at a Bunnings before 8 o'clock in the morning, in uniform with their signed vehicle, and then we'll pay them $20 if they give us photo evidence of that. We pay them to do $100 to do a social media post as well. Okay, just just give us the content. So it has to be 3 minutes worth of content, and then our marketing team will then get that into more refined content. So we don't ask them to become experts. We just say, look, give us the raw content, because as you and I were talking off camera, the stuff that we do is interesting to people. It's fun, and we have a lot of interest in the different jobs that we do, and we love sort of the transformations that we do make in people's backyards, because people think obviously about digging holes and moving dirt, but we do a lot of landscaping, structural landscaping as well. So retaining walls is a Gyms Diggers service. We do decking as well. So some large and a lot of structural landscaping, what we call it, but also turfing. So those jobs, customers love seeing that change, where they've got a brand new house, they've got the waterfall kitchen, bench top and that sort of stuff. The kitchen looks fantastic, but they're looking out into a terrible backyard, basically. So we can go in there and just transform that into dirt, from dirt into a landscaped backyard. So customers love seeing that on socials. So we do encourage our guys and pay them through the pay for work to just get us the raw content, and then we add the spin.
That's a great initiative. And $3,000 pay for work guarantee. I think that's the most in the Gyms Group. I don't know if there's anyone more.
I don't know. Not sure either.
I'm pretty certain there isn't. Most are below that, so it's probably the leader in that regard, which is fantastic. And just so people are clear, like, you're literally paying someone to help them build and market their business. So because you're that confident, obviously you'll make that. But if they don't, you've got that background in there.
That's right. I mean, it's obviously Jim came up with the pay for work guarantee, and it's a great concept. I mean, someone buying into any business, they're not sure how it's going to go. So the pay for work guarantee allows them to say, okay, I'm guaranteed I can earn this much money. Okay, so for mowing, cleaning, dog wash, it's doing free jobs. For us, it's getting out there and doing marketing activities. Now, where it's really good is obviously we have to pay that out. So we're not going to put on franchisees in areas that don't support a franchisee, that aren't going to earn $3,000 a week. So yes, it's about, for us, it's about teaching them good habits. So they learn to do this activity, they see the reaction, they see the results from it, and then we hope they continue on. But yeah, it's really good if we're opening up into a new market. So we're in every state and the ACT as well. and we're in very mature conversations with a guy in Darwin who just wants to start when the rain stops a bit.
Yeah.
And because we've never been in Darwin, which is why I raise it, that the pay for work there was a really good concept. So he knows, even though we've never had a diggers franchise in Darwin, we'll pay him $3,000 to build up that market. So while we're jointly building up that market, he's getting that $3,000 a week.
That's a great concept. And as you said before, people want that peace of mind. But just for people to know, even though it is there and something that obviously is very attractive to someone getting into the division, how often do you pay it out?
Very rarely. Very rarely. And that's the thing. It's in the franchise agreement, and I say that to my prospects all the time. It's in the contract. We can't take it out, but it's for your peace of mind. Reality is, so quite often we'll pay some of it in the first week, maybe 2 weeks, but beyond that, once the leads start coming in, and again, franchisees are getting the benefit of all the marketing they've just done. It starts to roll from there. So $3,000. I mean, again, we KPI our franchisees, so it goes up and down a little bit, but the average single job for a franchisee based on our KPIs is somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000.
Wow.
So they only need an average job, and they've hit the $3,000. So that's why we can be so confident in offering such a high. Well, hopefully it is the highest.
It is. It would be the highest,
yeah.
And probably the highest average job value as well from hearing that.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I don't know. But so that's not average, but that's the average of our top 50%.
Wow.
Okay, we always like to raise the bar versus consider average to be acceptable.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Now, for someone who hasn't watched your previous interview, what was your background before doing this and how did you get involved?
Yeah, so my background was IT. So I was a project manager for Hewlett-Packard and other organisations for a very long time. I'm trying to remember now. So it's 2014, I came across to Jim's, and at the time, my job was actually shutting down or relocating our data centres. So either consolidation, or we're moving clients from Australian data centres into our overseas data centres. And part of that, obviously, it was a reduction in staff, reduction in services that were being offered in Australia. So a lot of my friends were being made redundant, or not getting contracts renewed as we were moving our work offshore. And that's obviously continued and has accelerated a lot over the years. But as I said in that interview, which a lot of people say back to me, is you can't import a hole. Okay, so you can't. It has to be dug by someone in Australia. Okay, so that's why I got in. I looked at a lot of different industries, and I didn't like retail. I didn't like things that held stock. Bricks and mortar has a lot of challenges. The great thing about pretty much every Jim's Group franchise is they're usually there's no bricks and mortar. So for me, it was had the guarantees. Obviously, back then we only had $1,000 pay for work guarantee. But even back then, that was hard to get the pay for work because there was plenty of work coming in. So I made the change. There was other things going on in my life and where I needed to sort of move out of Hewlett-Packard. And this was just a good fit. I mean, it had the guarantees. I was confident. And again, I've never done anything, never was ever in a single contract for more than 3 years. I'm coming up to 12 years, maybe even 13 years now with Jim's Diggers and no plans to go anywhere. I love it. I love changing people's lives and I love the excitement of it, the challenges of it. Loved it. I'm really, really pleased I made the change.
That's a great story because you've come in as a franchisee and then you've obviously progressed to be the franchisor. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so franchisee on the tools, so to speak, for 2 years. I then bought Victoria and Tasmania as a franchisor region. I stayed on the tools for a while and then met a very good friend of mine now who's a great mentor, and Sharon Connell from Dogwash, and she basically said, you've got to get off the tools. Being a franchisor, a successful franchisor, is pretty much a full-time job. So I literally burnt the boats, so to speak. I sold the machine, which forced me to then be a full-time franchisor. And then the franchisor business went through the roof. I then bought some regions in Sydney. I then bought Canberra. I bought some regional New South Wales regions. And then I got to the point where I bought the division. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's a great journey. You franchisee to franchisor, then you've now owned the division, which is fantastic. Yeah. So now let's talk about your division in particular, right? Yep. So let's talk about the franchise offering. So we've covered off the pay for work guarantee, which I presume you're going to get asked a bit about.
Yep.
So someone's going, right, I'm interested in Jim's Diggers.
Yep.
What do you ideally want them to know? What type of person should they be? And let's just talk about the ins and the outs.
Yeah, I suppose the first question we got, and I think there's a lot of people out there who assume that you need experience. Basically, part of our induction covers people who have never touched a machine. For example, I had never touched a machine. I'd dry hired some machines, but pretty much had no industry experience when I bought into Jim's Diggers. There's obviously, part of the startup cost is your tickets. So basically what's called a skid steer ticket and an excavator ticket. We then get franchisees to, even before they start, to spend time on the road with the existing franchisees. We then obviously go into their city and are on the ground with them in their city. And there's extra time with experienced franchisees as well. And then there's obviously a lot of coaching beyond that. So there is no experience required. It's not that hard, but to do it well takes a little bit of time, and that's what the coaching's for. But we basically do all sorts of different jobs, and what we look for is really people who are looking to work independently, are happy to back themselves, because it is a small business, it's not a job. You are going to be talking to customers, and it's so we don't provide, same with every division, we don't provide the work, we provide the customers and the jobs. And then the franchisees will go out there, they'll quote the job, they'll follow up the job, they'll win the job. And the great thing about our fees is they then get all that money back from when the client will pay them directly as well. So we need them to have good people skills and some good basic office skills. Okay, good follow up with customers, some basic IT skills. But as far as all the earth moving skills, the landscaping skills, that's all part of what we teach them. Really an open mind is probably what and a willingness to learn the stuff that are shortcomings.
And what's the typical setup that a new franchisee will get? So is there any particular type of equipment, or what's the sort of standard, in your experience, that franchisees start with generally?
Yep. So it's nothing standard. Obviously, we try and get franchisees to complement the existing franchisees. Right. But the most popular and where there's the most work is what we call a skid steer. So it's what most people understand to be a bobcat or a dingo. That's what's on your logo there? Is that pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So we're a lot bigger than those ones now, but we've got machines that will go through a doorway, up to 15-ton excavators now. So the most common configuration, and what we find the most successful configuration is a skid steer, combined with either a ute and trailer, or a small tipper. A lot of the guys will start with a ute and then move to a truck. Some of the guys who already have equipment will start with a truck, and as they get busier, will then go and buy a ute for the run around and that sort of stuff. So there's no perfect way to start, but from our perspective, we try and get guys to start with as low an investment as possible, so that they're getting the highest return on the money they are putting into it. So we find the small skid steers. And again, the Chinese manufactured machines now are becoming quite reliable. And the Chinese utes, we're seeing a lot of Chinese utes coming in as well. You can get up and running almost for $70,000 with everything brand new. If you're willing to go second hand, you can do it for a lot cheaper as well. If you've got an existing car, it's even cheaper. That's the main investment there, is the car.
That's probably a good point. But I want to take you back to what you said before, because I think this is interesting for people to know, because I'd be assuming I need to have some sort of background or have my tickets before doing this, right? But you said your background was IT.
Yep.
What other backgrounds are there actually in your division? It'd be good for people to hear.
So some of our longest serving franchisees, so I'm talking like our 10-year franchisees. One used to be a Telstra salesperson, used to work for Telstra as a salesperson. Right. One still is an accountant. One was in marketing. So a lot of our longest serving franchisees...
Completely unrelated.
Are completely unrelated.
Yeah.
Completely. The vast majority of our good franchisees are good because they follow the system, they're happy to approach IT, and they're willing to learn the earth moving side. It's a lot easier to learn the earth moving side.
That's what I was going to say, because people might be thinking that might be the hardest bit of it, but you're saying it's probably the easiest.
No.
Right.
There's about 4 days of ticket training. A lot of guys come to us with tickets. Yep. There's about 4 days of ticket training, and then we get them out with franchisees. And it's... Look, and again, we get... If franchisees are still really uncomfortable, we'll find a blank property or a vacant property with permission, obviously, and we'll just get dirt delivered, and we'll just start moving dirt around. And we video for fun. We video the franchisees at the start of the day, and then we'll video at the end of the day, and the difference is vast. Yep. It's just vast. And they can laugh at it, but because at the start they're a bit jolty and they want to go left and they go right or whatever it might be. But by the end of the day, it's just muscle memory now. because and each machine is different. So that's the thing. You can be quite experienced on a bobcat, but then you'll jump on a Vermeer skid steer, and it's just completely different controls. Okay, so it's that just getting that muscle memory back, and then you're off and running. Yeah.
Okay, so we have divisional training. We're actually during the gym's training week now, which is the 2-day course, which everyone has to do.
Yep.
So they do that. Then they go into their first week, all right? So first week is a franchisee.
Yep.
What does it generally look like from your experience?
So what we basically do, we get them to spend 3 days before they are turned on as a franchisee, 3 days with an existing franchisee in their city. If there's no one close by, we'll then pay for their accommodation to be to the nearest main city. Yep. We'll then turn them on as a franchisee. Normally the first day is paperwork, okay? Paperwork, back ends, downloading apps and walking through all that sort of stuff. But normally the first morning is getting that set up. The first thing we do is get them set up so they can receive leads and send out quotes. In the major cities, we'll actually have them turned off for leads that morning. Otherwise, because there's so many leads coming through, we don't want them to get a lead before they're ready. And then when we've got them set up in the quoting system, is probably the main thing. We'll then turn them on for leads. We'll then go out there and do some quotes. And then basically they're with their franchisor for the first 3 days. And then we have another 2 days almost at their discretion when they want to get another experienced franchisee to come and work on their jobs. It might be the franchisor as well, but basically at their discretion when they've got a job they really want some help with. Okay, it might be their first retaining wall job, for example. So we give them a little bit of discretion there for those extra 2 days. But our franchisees are great because we try and make them not compete. That they do support each other a hell of a lot. So the new franchisees get a lot of support from obviously the franchisor, but also from the franchisees on the ground. And this is the benefit of trying to get them to have complementary machinery, they can all help each other. So the new franchisee will help the existing franchisees because we try and have it as a bit more of we try and have that machinery fill a gap. It might be narrow access. We've just added a franchisee in Melbourne, for example, who does vacuum excavation. Okay, so now he can do whenever the franchisees need some vacuum excavation or what's called non-destructive digging, they can get him in. Okay, so yeah, it helps. That's
very clever because I didn't know you did that, but it makes a lot of sense, right? And that's the thing with when I do these interviews is people think naturally franchisees compete with each other because they see why would this guy help this guy?
Yeah.
Whereas we know that it's completely the opposite.
Yes.
And as you just said, then these guys are adding a value add to the other person's business because now they can actually help the customer out, whereas before they might have to refer them somewhere else. Or these sorts of things.
And the other great thing about the system, which a lot of people don't know, is the lead only goes to one franchisee. It's not like high pages where it goes to 20 different people, then you pay for it no matter how many people it's gone to. With our system, yes, you pay for the lead, but it only ever goes to one franchisee. So all the franchisees know they're not competing for those jobs. The system works out who gets what. And again, they can turn themselves on for the services they want to offer. And again, we get the complementary ones. So if someone's got narrow access, they get those ones. If they're doing vacuum, they get those leads. If they're doing service location, they'll get those leads. They can then pick and choose what they want, but they all know what they offer, or the other franchisees offer, so they can drag them in to complement them on the job that they're prime on, or they can hand pass the lead if it's something that they can't even offer.
Yeah. So one lead, one person. But do you want to talk about the marketing that you're doing as well? Because that's always a common question, I presume. Is there enough work? And how does it all work? So you're obviously responsible in the division for doing a lot of that. So do you want to talk about what you got set up?
So look, we mostly Google and it's all the normal things, I suppose. Yep. It's Google and Google clicks. We spend a lot of money on YouTube as well. We find YouTube gets, again, you and I were talking off camera, that the content rates really, really well. So we spend a lot of time on YouTube as well, and Facebook and Instagram. So that's the main out to the marketing that we do. It's quite successful. As far as amount of work goes, it varies from city to city. But nationally, we're sitting still at over 1 in 3 leads going unserviced.
Oh, really?
So, so we've got, like you said, we've got 40 franchisees now. We're still 1 in 3 leads going unserviced. Some of those will go unserviced because, again, it's a particular service, like a service location or narrow access, whatever it might be. But places like, especially Sydney and Southeast Queensland, where we're actually over half the leads at the minute are going unserviced.
Wow.
So that will ebb and flow as we add new franchisees. But it's certain areas we desperately need franchisees. But even in Melbourne, where we've got 17 franchisees, just in Melbourne, we're still over 20% unserviced. So 1 in 5 leads that are coming in are still going unserviced. So again, what a lot of people think is the more franchisees, the less work there's going to be for me. But the reality is, in most industries. Mowing is probably the exception, but in most divisions, we are a very small slice of that industry. So when we add a franchisee, it increases our slice. It doesn't mean you're dividing up our current slice into smaller sections each time. So,
and what types of customers? Is just obviously there's residential. Is it?
Yep.
Do they have relationships with builders, or how does it sort of work from a customer base?
So as far as the leads that come in, probably 80% of the leads that come in, 70% of the leads that come in are mums and dads,
Right.
And the other 20-30% will be builders. So the amount of new leads, or the majority of the new leads, is mums and dads. What the franchisees find, a lot of their repeat work or regular work is obviously going to be trades.
Yep.
So the guys really love the trade customers because they'll get the repeat work or regular work off them. So yeah, it's quite varied. The guys love working with mums and dads. They love those projects, but they're just as happy with the working with the builders as well, because they get that regular work. They get the call up. There's no lead fee. They don't have to think about it. They've got agreed rates, whatever it might be. So yeah, it's both. I don't actually have the breakdown because we don't sort of see the franchisees' numbers, what the percentages of regular work versus
I was going to ask
new
that,
customers.
yeah, because that might be, and because that sort of goes into fees. But
yeah.
Do you want to touch on that maybe for the fees?
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So we see franchisees pay for each new lead they take out of the system. Okay, so franchisees who are super busy or they're generating their own work, any work you bring to the table, you don't pay anything to us at all. Okay, that might be an $80,000, $100,000 client over 12 months. You don't pay a single cent to us. So the franchisees who are quite busy, that's the one we don't see a lot of, are getting a lot of that regular work, and they don't pay anything to us. So what our job is to obviously provide leads to all the franchisees. So no matter how long you've been with us, you can choose what area you want to take leads from, what type of lead you want to take from. So some of our more experienced guys are really lead hungry. They've got lots of machines, lots of staff, so they're very, very lead hungry. A lot of our more experienced some of our other franchisees take very, very few leads. Okay, they stay in the system because of the support, camaraderie, the reputation the brand generates. So you can literally walk up to a person who's never met you before, but they know that you're part of Jim's group. It's got the warranty. So there's that immediate trust and reputation that comes from that. So a lot of guys really appreciate that as well.
Now, do you take a percentage per job, or what's the fee?
No. So again, no gyms divisions take a percentage of. So our lead fee's just gone up with it because of CPI. So all the leads fees go up with CPI. It's currently $37. So again, that is probably on the high side as far as leads go. Fee
in
goes.
Saying that, in hearing what you said before about
Correct.
what these jobs are worth,
Correct.
it's probably proportionately, you're probably way too cheap compared to other divisions.
As a percentage, it's probably on the lower side.
Yeah.
Again, as you know, we don't really track. Franchisees aren't obligated to provide us with the turnover numbers or anything like that. So we don't. The data's not completely reliable. But yeah, you're right. As a percentage of the average value, which is $6,000, $37 is absolutely nothing. And again, that's those franchisees who stay in the system know that they can get very few leads as long as their conversion's good. I mean, their fees, they pay their fees in the first couple of days of that month.
But even if you're an independent, like if you're an independent who wants to come across the gyms, I can guarantee an independent watching this, if you knew your marketing costs, it's definitely not $36 to generate a qualified lead, right?
Correct.
Nowhere near it.
Well, we get a lot of independents come across because, again, they are out there competing against us in regards to marketing dollars, so they can't sort of match us dollar-wise. And the problem is if you're spending all this money on Google, you don't get anything back. You just have to keep giving Google money. At least with our system, you've got, for that $37, you've got a name, an address, a mobile number guaranteed. 90% of the time you get an email address as well. So it's a guaranteed person versus just paying for clicks, basically.
Plus they're searching for gyms as well. So they're actually, if someone searches gyms diggers directly, they know gyms. It's an easier job to convert than if you're an independent 100%. Where no one knows you. Is that, because I didn't ask you that last time. So you've got independent guys who come across with existing businesses and rebrand as Jim's Diggers.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Is that something you want more of, or do you think that?
Look, we yes. Short answer is yes.
Because to me, it's like it's a no-brainer. Because I guarantee these diggers, independent guys, are nowhere near generating good leads for $36. Well, I reckon they're probably a couple of $100 even if that.
Well, High Pages is a good comparison.
Right.
So High Pages is sort of an option for independents to get leads.
Yeah.
It varies, but sometimes they're paying $70 for a lead.
That goes to multiple people.
And it goes to multiple people. And because it goes to multiple people, it's
race to the bottom, generally.
Race to the
price,
bottom.
yeah.
You're spot on. Yeah. At least with gyms, and customers can't call. Like if the customer calls the call centre back to get in contact with another franchisee, that doesn't work that way. Yeah. They get sent back to the same franchisee, and there's no cost for that. So within the system, it goes straight back to the same franchisee. So you're never competing against another franchisee on price. With something like a High Pages, you're paying $70 for that lead, like up to $70. It does vary, but you're competing because it goes out to the whole market on High Pages. And like you said, it's an absolute race to the bottom. That's the High Pages type client. Our feeling and our experience is your typical gyms client is someone who wants somebody who's reputable, is reliable, and is going to turn up and is backed by our warranties. So they're happy to pay a little bit more for the job. Again, we know we're not the cheapest as well because that's not a game we play.
It's almost like if you're an independent, you'd literally, whatever the franchise fee is, you'd recoup that, I reckon, in your first year just from the amount of extra work you're doing, reduced marketing costs, less headaches, all that sort of stuff. You come into this and just rebrand and away you go. It's an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah.
And I was going to say as well then about the actual franchisees in your division. So you'd always get people saying, how much am I going to earn, right? So what do you sort of tell them in that regard? And maybe give us an example of a franchisee in your division as well.
Yep. So we do. Our franchisees are pretty good. So KPIs. We're big believers in data. It's probably my IT background, but I'm big fan of data. So most of our franchisees we do KPI. We KPI them, all their franchisees, on certain things that we can get from the gym system, for example. And it's a really logical question, and we not to chase the money, but from a support perspective, we have what we call a stage approach. We have franchisees that we allocate as either stage 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay, so stage 1 is your owner operator. Okay, that's just them. I won't go through all the stages, but the video's not long enough. But stage 4 is basically someone with multiple machines, multiple staff, etc., etc. So stage 1 is obviously it's going to be minimum of the pay for work, which is $150,000, and that's what our KPIs obviously show us. A stage 4 franchisee is averaging around $700,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So, and we've got a stage 5 in our system. It's basically what we call an operations manager, still with staff. But from our experience, our guys don't want to get off the tools. They actually do really enjoy being on the tools. You can't, and that's part of our training. We do present those numbers, the up-to-date numbers, when we go through our divisional training. You can't expect to make $500,000 if you're just going to come on board with one machine and just run it by yourself. Okay. And that's we try and set that reality, okay? But because we've got so much work going unserviced and the industry's massive, if you want to expand and grow the business, you can, but you need to do that by multiple machines, multiple staff, etc., etc. And then, I'm not sure where the top is, to be truthful. It just comes down to capacity.
Now, the guy doing 700K to 150K, and it's got staff, etc. Do they pay anything extra?
Nope.
Because they've got extra staff or anything? Or?
No. So we normally find those guys. So we have a thing called multi-unit franchising. So, and I think a lot of divisions do, but it's where you can own multiple territories.
Right.
So that they will get more leads because they've got more territories. So some of our really big guys will have multiple units, and that they'll get more leads that way. So they pay. Their base fee is exactly the same, but they might take more leads if they're trying to feed their system, so to speak.
Yeah,
but
so
again,
they're encouraged to grow by the flat fee.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you don't pay a percentage of your turnover. So the guys who are really successful love it because the leads are a tap. I mean, it's not like you need to commit to a certain number of leads per month either. I mean, you literally can change it on a daily basis. You can have a job cancel and say, okay, I'm going to open up, I'm going to take leads within 20 Ks. If you're busy, you'll take leads within 5 Ks.
Now, the comment I'm going to get online, because we're going to clip that up. Let's say someone does 700K, all right?
Yep.
Now, the comment, a lot of tall pop in Australia, so they'll try and run it down and say, well, you're giving half that to Jim, you're paying GST, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, and then you're doing less than whatever you work there. You don't have to say exactly how much, but like, if someone's doing a 700K revenue in the diggers business, they're obviously doing okay.
Yeah. What
would sort of be the rough... It's hard to know their situation with taxes.
I won't go into numbers because obviously all I'll say is one of our franchisees just bought a Porsche. He drives a better car than me. We've got a Ram. We've got too many Raptors to count.
Yeah.
So
they can work out how much... You know how much those cars cost.
Yeah. So it's... a lot of them drive better cars than me. So it's probably a really good reflection of how the fees work as well.
Right.
That the franchisees are driving better cars than the franchisors. Yeah, look, obviously there is.
They're
But
doing
again,
pretty
the bit that's our side, and you're right. So the flat fee is the flat fee. Every month it's exactly the same. You have control over the number of leads you take, but that's it. Beyond that, the harder you work at generating repeat work, generating regular work, generating your own leads, the less you pay in fees. So the more successful you are in our system, the less you pay in fees versus more, because it's not percentage based.
Well, those franchisees who are buying a Porsche, for example,
Yep.
what makes them get to that level? Is it something where they're just literally just listening to you guys and doing exactly as the system says, or how are they getting to that level?
Yeah, pretty much following the system. The best way is they're working smart versus hard. The main KPI, the difference in the KPIs between the really good franchisees and the ones who are working pretty hard is conversion. Okay, the guys who really focus on all the things that we KPI as Jim's Group. Okay, calling back within 2 hours. Okay, getting the quote out there quickly. All that sort of stuff. The guys who have got good conversion are the guys who are doing well. Okay, and it's because they're winning more work. It's that simple.
Yeah, no, it's a great number. Like, you hear that and think it's a pretty good business. It's a great small business to have.
We've got guys earning more than that, but that's the average of the guys at stage 4.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I was going to say as well, how long would it? Let's say someone comes in and goes, right, I'd love here, want to be a stage 4, stage 5 franchisee. Like, what's the sort of realistic time frame they could get to that if they?
We have a lot of guys already in this industry would almost come to us at stage 4.
Really? Wow.
So stage 4 in us, it's basically multiple machines, multiple staff.
Right.
Okay, so it's nothing complex.
Yeah.
We have a lot of guys who come to us at stage 4 in our system, and it's like it's not a natural progression. It's not something you need to be. We've had franchisees in the system for 9 years, and they're still at stage 1. They're happy to have a ute, a machine, a trailer, and it's just them, and they keep their life simple. They go fishing on a Friday and they're happy. We've got guys where the money is the driver, and they want to be big. And the great thing about the gym's system is you get to choose where you want to be.
Well, that's a great point you said. So money the driver, and you got the other person might be more lifestyle orientated and wants to work around their family. So
Correct.
They obviously can still make a pretty good wage doing that and have the flexibility where they want to do it, take the Friday off and away they go.
Correct. Yeah.
And what's the sort of average week look like for a franchisee? I know it can vary because job size and job difference would obviously come into it, but what's sort of the typical week look like for a franchisee?
Again, depends on what stage they're at. Right. This is the whole thing about through the training.
Well, let's go to stage 1 lifestyle sort of guy. What's the typical week look like?
So most of our stage 1 guys. So we basically, they all sort of do their numbers on. Okay, I'm going to work 6 days a week. I'm going to work 8 hours a day, and this is what we tell them the hourly rate is, and therefore that's my turnover. I said, well, it doesn't work that way. Okay, as if it's just going to be you need time to go out there and do the quotes. You need time to go out there and follow up your clients. You need time to service a machine. You need time to pick up this sort of stuff. There's time as part of your week that's going to be non-revenue producing. It's necessary to generate the income, but it's non-revenue producing. So that's one of the challenges at stage 1 is not every minute you work is paid work. So, and at stage 4, it's the same thing. Not every minute you spend is generating income, but at that point, the business is earning income. You can still be fishing, and the business is still making money because you've got people working. So, to answer your question on a typical week, most of the guys will work usually 6 to 8 hours on the machine. They'll try and do a couple of quotes on the way home, and they'll ride through that. If it's raining, we obviously encourage them to bring forward some quotes or some follow up. Like every industry, it's impacted by weather. So that's something you've just got to manage. So, the average $6,000 job is obviously a multi-day job. It's not a single day job. So most of them will juggle some of the larger jobs with some of the smaller jobs. And again, depending what stage they're at, they're managing staff or they're managing suppliers, whatever it might be. Awesome.
And I was going to say as well then, with the other costs, obviously there's equipment.
Yep.
There's other things like insurance, for example. What's in your startup pack? What's included when they buy a franchise?
So startup pack is mostly training. So it's the tickets, it's the generic training, it's the divisional training, it's the induction week, which is the 8 days. We provide we actually include Jim's life coaching in it as well. So we obviously go a certain way, but we're not qualified life coaches. So we actually include a 4-week Jim's life coaching program as part of the startup. We give them a computer, A lot of the guys will have a computer, or they say they've got a computer, but it's actually their son's computer, and it's quite often it's not accessible. So we provide them with a computer that can be, it's USB, it's brand new.
Wow.
It can be charged in the truck or the ute, so it's USB-C powered. So we just know it's always with them. And what else is in there? Obviously uniforms, stationery, all the marketing materials. They're the main things. Oh, vehicle signage, that's all part of the startup.
Yep.
So it's basically, as it's defined startup, as it's called startup, it's to get you up and running to the first day, where we quite often say the only thing you need to worry about is bringing your boots and your pants. Pretty much everything else included. Literally, there's gloves, there's helmets, there's your PPE, all that stuff's included in the startup.
And you mentioned support before,
Yep.
and I've seen your conferences online,
Yep.
and obviously all your franchisees get along to that. Do you want to talk about then maybe the support aspect? Because every franchise system says, we provide support, but what does that actually mean for someone coming into your division?
Yeah, so I'll talk about the contractually a bit first. So contractually, we must talk to every new franchisee once per week, in the first 2 months. And then contractually, it needs to be minimum once per month after that. We have obligations around how quickly we return their calls as well, if they what we call reactive calls. Again, Jim's Group and from within Jim's Diggers, we know our KPIs tell us when we talk to them weekly that they're doing better as well. So we talk to them weekly. Again, contractually, we must have meetings, face-to-face meetings with them 3 times a year. And there's still another 5 meetings on top of that. So 5 meetings can be Zoom meetings. So that's contractually. Again, within Diggers, we do a face-to-face meeting once a quarter, and then obviously we do basically a meeting a month. So some of those are face-to-face, but every franchisee will pretty much have either a Zoom call or a face-to-face meeting per month.
Yep.
And then on top of that, we do have a national conference. So again, different divisions do it differently. We have a conference fund, so every franchisee contributes. I can't tell exactly. That's around $57. It's gone. I'm off because the CPI just kicked in, but it's roughly $57 per month, and that basically means all they've got to do is pay for their flights.
Yep.
Okay, so we do move it around. So certain franchisees each year, franchisees can drive to the conference. But basically, it covers obviously the conference cost, the accommodation, and the speakers, all that sort of stuff. And I'm a big believer in consistent and constant learning, and that's what we try and get our franchisees to embrace as well. So we have a conference. It's a lot of fun as well, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Our franchisees do love catching up. So the last one this year, 2025, was on the Gold Coast. Next year it's in Melbourne, which no one's ever keen about because it's warmer in the Gold Coast. But our arrangements, we rotate them.
Yep.
And then next year we'll be somewhere in New South Wales. So look, and it's great. It's great to get the franchisees together. Our experienced franchisees like catching up with their mates. Our new franchisees like becoming mates with the more experienced franchisees.
Yep.
I shouldn't say older, more experienced franchisees. So we love the conference.
The reason why I asked is because a lot of people pay for, let's say outside of gyms, right? If they're a business, a lot of them might have a business coach.
Yep.
And these guys charging $2, $3, $4 grand, $5 grand a month, right? Which I'm not saying is not a good investment, but you just said then you literally get a full-time business coach being your franchisor.
Yep.
Plus you get access to, we'll call it a mastermind, all these other franchisees where you can literally call any other time.
Yep.
Or you're on meetings with them.
Yep.
All included with everything for the amount. And it's just,
Correct.
I think we sort of don't look at how good that is sometimes, and even though we're obviously biased, but I think that's a really good package for what they pay in fees compared to what they can actually get elsewhere as an individual thing.
And what I'd say to a lot of my prospects is yes, you've got to buy a territory. Like every franchise system in the world, you either buy a location or you buy a territory. But the thing you've got to remember is you can sell that territory. So you get all that value throughout your journey, and at the end you can sell the territory. If you've done a good job, you'll sell the territory for more than what you paid for it. So you get almost getting all that for nothing along the journey because you buy in. Okay, if you manage it well and you're patient when you're trying to sell it, and again, there's contractual protections if you're trying to sell your franchise as well, you're going to get that money back at the end as well. So it is a great system. You're right, you and I are biased, but I mean, there's bias, but I mean, I've hung around for 12 years because it works well for me. We've got, I think we've got 5 franchisees now that are 10 years plus.
That's pretty good.
So it's not just, everyone will say, oh, well, that's, the franchisor's making all the money. That's why he's there for 12 years. But we've got franchisees who are driving better cars than me and have been in it for 10 years as well. So it's a symbiotic relationship, okay? The good franchisors have got good franchisees. It works well.
I think, Paul, we should always point out, like, we really encourage, if they do inquire with you, they can call any one of your franchisees on the list that's provided. I think we really provide that sort of stuff, and a lot of other brands don't. They hide that sort of thing. Where you can call anyone you like. And I want to go now to services. So you mentioned a bit more about services before, and different franchisees can offer different things. So in your division, what can they actually do? You mentioned retaining walls and things like that, but what's the full gamut of services?
Well, one thing I'll say there is you're not limited to what you can or can't do.
Right.
Okay, so if you're comfortable doing concreting, that's not a Jim's Digger service. If you're comfortable doing concreting, you can do concreting. If you're comfortable, sorry, Jim's fencing, but if you're comfortable doing fencing, you can do fencing. The system allows you
cross-divisional
to do what we call cross-divisional. So you can take leads from Jim's fencing. So I'll say that. So if you can do anything you want, you're not limited to what you can do on site, as long as it's not a legal requirement, okay? So we do have franchisees who are licensed demolishers, for example. So you can't demolish your house unless you've got a license to demolish your house, okay? Asbestos removal, okay, you don't need to be licensed for that, but certain quantities, you need to obviously have certain licenses. We'll obviously send that across to asbestos removal or hazardous removal, I think they're called. We've actually got a franchisee in Perth who's both. He's a diggers franchisee and a hazmat. I know.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So what we offer, so like I said, the list of services is long, but obviously earth moving. Okay, so site cleans, soil removal. Some of the more services most people don't think about. Like I said, we do retaining walls. We do what's called vacuum excavation or non-destructive digging. So that's where you've got services there, or you think their services might be there, and it's basically a big vacuum that comes in and sucks up the dirt, creates the hole through vacuum, versus what's called mechanical excavation, which is your traditional excavator. We do service locating as well. So we actually have franchisees who can come out again. They are licensed. We don't let them offer that service unless they've got the ticket for that, and they'll locate your services. So your gas, your water, your telco, all that sort of stuff. They can locate that as well. What else do we offer?
I've heard like swimming pools before, someone digging holes for that. I've heard
anything that requires dirt coming out. Look, a lot of our franchisees, we've spoken to Jim about this, but it's pool fills. Pools is actually a really common service that we offer.
Pool won't like that, but pool fills.
Pool fills,
right?
Yeah,
wow, there you go.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's more usually older pools,
right?
But it just gets to the point where they're not being used.
There you go. Never heard of that one. Pool fills.
Pool fills. Yeah.
There you go.
Again, it's not just a matter of putting dirt in there. You've got to do it properly. You've got to put holes in the pool, and some councils it needs to be inspected.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, turfing. We do a lot of turfing. Like I said, a lot of structural landscaping as well. It's quite diverse.
I was going to say for a customer, I think this is the one thing you don't want to cheap out on. You know, this sort of service, because if this goes wrong, it's going to be a lot of money, right? And I think the reassurance a customer would have using you guys, because there's various things in place which I'll let you talk about. So do you want to talk about before the work guarantee, which you alluded to?
So obviously every Jim's Group franchisee is covered by the work guarantee. So that basically, it's a guarantee against poor workmanship, okay? So that's in place. The other point I'll make is obviously it's a requirement for every franchisee to use Jim's insurance for their public liability insurance. And now that's the only thing that we actually say you must use Jim's for. So you can buy machines, vehicles, everything from other insurance you can get. So your vehicle insurance, machinery insurance you can get from anywhere. But the public liability must be through Jim's insurance. And the reason for that is that way we know every franchisee is protected. And this is the big difference between... sometimes we're competing against customers wanting to do it themselves. It does look like fun, and it is fun. It is fun. But they might look at finding someone on Marketplace or whatever it might be, and you might only think you're getting a $1,500 job done because you're getting dirt moved out from the backyard to the front yard, but you might have a really narrow pathway, and you've got a pillar which is over your or next to your alfresco space, and that's holding up the second floor of the house. And suddenly someone comes in with a 2-ton machine and bangs that accidentally, and they just drive out the driveway and they're gone.
Yes.
Okay, you'll never find them again. You've got a mobile phone number. They know that's now a $100,000 job, and they might not even have insurance. And they're gone. You might do it yourself. You might say, this looks like fun. I can do it myself. But guess what? You're not insured yourself if you knock out a pillar of your house, or you hit an air conditioner or a hot water system, whatever it might be. So this is one of the huge benefits of using Jim's Group, is every franchisee is covered by the workmanship guarantee, and obviously we make sure they're all insured as well. So versus trying to do it yourself and risking hitting something and damaging it, and then you got that trying to save $300 by dry hiring a machine and doing it yourself suddenly looks very expensive.
That's what I wanted to point out. Like, if you're a customer, like, yes, you can get other quotes, but I think knowing that there's a work guarantee in place and we're not going to go missing is probably the main thing.
Yeah.
Like, whereas if you get a backyard barrier type operator, might be cheaper, but as you said, if he does something wrong, what's he accountable to?
Yeah.
All you can do is leave him a 1-star review on Google if he has that, or there's no literally accountability.
And the work guarantee, it's not designed for this, but it quite often is used where a franchisee has taken prepayment or has walked out partway through a job, as in they've walked out on us partway through a job. The workmanship guarantee actually covers the completion of that job as well. Okay, so it's not really covered online, but I know, I'm not saying anything out of school because I know Jim supports this, but that's a huge part of it as well. So you can engage any franchisee, and even if they're no longer, if they leave, the work guarantee will complete that work as well.
And we don't make you jump through hoops for it. You know, if we're at fault, that's the thing. Like, whereas if you have other providers, they might have a terms and conditions, and it might be up to a certain amount, and you've got to. So whereas with Jim himself manages the warranty fund, which people don't know. But he will get involved with it. It's literally just him approving it, and away we go.
Jim's got his own videos on this, but exactly right. It's basically if it's really not clear, we engage a third-party expert to assess it, and that expert says no, it's not done right, and we fix it. Okay, and again, it's kept backed by the entirety of Jim's group, which is not going anywhere. Which
we've got to make, we have to make it clear that there's no other company in Australia that offer it, and it's an unlimited, up to unlimited amount as well. There's no cap in it, so people need to know that if you are looking at Jim's compared with someone else, you get what you pay for. You get that extra work guarantee into place.
And the work guarantee is one thing, but again, that where it goes the next level, if a franchisee does leave, I think it's massive. It's absolutely massive because again, some of our jobs are quite big.
Especially retaining walls and things like that, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's just
very rarely so there's a retaining wall. Then they'll obviously there's a garden bed, and normally we'll do some turfing around that. So we're doing some really big jobs in people's backyards, and that's their private space as well. So it's really important to again also know that every franchisee before they're allowed to become a franchisee is police checked. Okay, so if before you let anyone into your backyard that you're found off marketplace, suddenly they're in your private space and you're at work. I mean, again, you know that not just Jim's Diggers, but any Jim's Group franchisee is actually police checked before they're even allowed to start.
Oh, I'd hope people aren't using marketplace for a service like this. I think they have all the services.
You would be amazed. You would
really?
be. Yep, you would be amazed.
Wow.
Yep.
And what's some of the feedback from customers then? Have they tried another person before and then they've stuffed it up and got you guys in? What are they sort of?
Look, our reviews are fantastic. Again, we all of our franchisees have their own Google listings, so we challenge or we ask all of our customers to check out our franchisees. They've all got fantastic Google reviews with feedback from actual customers. Obviously, overall, we've got good customers as well, but generally the feedback is fantastic. I mean, I love reading our reviews. I know you do as well. It does make you feel a little bit warm and fuzzy, that especially with the new franchisees, I love nothing more than seeing that our newer franchisees getting fantastic reviews about their workmanship, how much they cared about the end result. Is fantastic. As far as feedback from, again, you'd be amazed what people use Marketplace for. I mean, I was fixing up a customer complaint, or they called us to help. They paid for what they thought was clean fill, and it was full of broken tiles and bricks and that sort of stuff, and they tried to contact the person off Marketplace again, and they're gone. Okay, they paid for clean fill, and it's just rubbish. So we've had to go back in there to tidy up the as much as we can, and then bring in clean fill, or what we call ethical fill now, because it's just illegal dumping is becoming a massive problem. And again, this is the other thing that, being part of Jim's Group, everything is done ethically, because we come down on our franchisees. Well, we'll terminate them if anything is done illegally. Their franchise agreement is actually terminated. So
And with your industry, where do you see it going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I see it tightening up because the government are cracking down on a lot of that illegal dumping and that sort of stuff. So our franchisees do compete a lot against that. So we try and assist them as much as possible to be able to separate and segregate those leads. I think there's going to be consolidation. There's a lot of dodgy operators out there, and I think the governments or councils and state governments are really clamping down on illegal dumping.
Big problem.
Where I hope it goes, and there is rumours of where it's going, is obviously the dry hire industry will start to tighten up as well. I mean, these machines can kill you. Okay, it happens all the time on work sites. I mean, if you're not using it properly, it rolls over. It will kill you, and they weigh 2 tonne. So I see the dry hire industry tightening up. I would like to see it tighten up. I mean, I think it's crazy that you can go out there and hire a 2.5 ton excavator with no experience at all.
That is nuts.
That's something we push for. So that's something that is spoken about. That won't impact us. We don't really do dry hire, but it's something that we think should happen. I mean, it's certain things you should be able to dry hire, but there are certain size machines that just shouldn't be given to anyone who's got no experience.
So it should hopefully mean more work for the division.
Correct.
Well,
and less people getting injured. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep.
And franchising in general, there's a lot of misconceptions online about franchising or franchises in general. I think we just get lumped into it as well.
Yep.
What are some myths about franchising that maybe people should be aware of? What are some things that are wrong about it, especially with our system?
I don't think there's anything wrong with our system. I suppose a lot of the misconceptions is that whole thing about percentages.
Fees,
so I think a lot of the misconception is that franchisors just take a huge percentage. I mean, I've heard ridiculous percentages mentioned, 30%, 50%. There are some models
which
out there.
Which would be good for you if that was the case.
I'd be driving the Porsche. Our fees are very, very low. Yeah. Again, we spoke about the month, there's a fixed monthly fee, and then you're paying, that's $37 per job, per lead. That's a really common misconception. And even though Jim's Group has never, not that I'm aware of, I've been around for 12 years, ever taken a percentage.
No.
It's a common misconception, and you and I both deal with comments online all the time. It's like, where are you getting that from? It's never been the case and never will be the case. The other point is our franchise agreements are 20-year franchise agreements. We can't change your fee structure within that 20 years. And this is a good thing. A lot of franchise agreements, and this is not just a misconception, there are actually franchise agreements out there where the franchisor can actually increase the fees. Our system doesn't allow that. There was a CPI increase built into that, but beyond that, the fees are the fees, unless you agree to increase them. So, so we have negotiated a few things, but we have to give more than we get back, and that's really around increasing of marketing fund contributions. Obviously, introducing the conference fund we're big on, but to do that, we obviously exchange that for a reduction in lead fees is what we did.
And I also think as well. You're incentivized to grow. Like, there's no restrictions on growth. There's no one from head office saying, you can only put on this person, or you can't do this, or you pay extra fees. There's literally you've got freedom within the system to literally grow as much as you want, and we encourage you to do it.
Yeah. And that's what we teach our franchisees. The more successful you are, the more you actually follow the system by doing your own marketing, doing your own follow-up, the less you pay in fees. The more work you're generating from existing clients that you own in our system, when that comes through the call centre the first time, as long as they don't move houses, you own that client for the entirety of their life within the gym's system. So the more you follow up, the more work you get from your regular clients, the less fees you pay, because we don't take a percentage of fees. It's just that initial lead fee, but that's it.
Now, you mentioned something before as well, but I want to ask you real quickly about if someone's watching this and goes, I actually like the sound of this, I'm in IT or I'm in something completely unrelated, but I want to see how this goes. What's the best thing they should do?
Contact obviously 131546 or go to the Jim's Diggers website. So it's just jimsdiggers.com.au. Put a franchise inquiry in. So the way our system works is different franchisors will own different regions. So the reason we need that information is so you put onto the appropriate franchisor. Okay, so they will decide basically whether there's work in that area. Okay, we're not going to put franchisees on everywhere, but to answer your question, contact the one call centre or go to the website. You'll get some information from us. Hopefully, you'll take our calls. Okay, we send a lot of information out, and then obviously we try and call. And then once you're comfortable with the concept, we normally encourage franchisees to. It's basically a lot of divisions do a field day. We encourage franchisees to do a field day, but do 2 half days. Spend half a day with a franchisee, and then spend another half day with another franchisee. Because I'm not picking on mowing, because mowing's mowing, okay? We've got excavators and we've got skid steers and we've got vacuum excavation, we've got service location, and they're all very, very different. So while we're one division, there are sort of multiple businesses within that. So we try and encourage them to spend half a day with different types of franchisees. So they can decide what they think they they'd rather do.
There's no obligation. That's the thing as
No.
well. There's no obligation. You can go and we encourage you to observation day. We want
Yep.
you to do it, and that's the point. They,
Yep.
they just want to dip their toe in the water, take the day off work,
Yep.
take a sickie,
Yep.
go to the observation day and see if it's for you.
Yep. The other thing we talk to people about, so the generic training, like you said, is running now. I mean, there's no obligation with that as well. So you can make an inquiry through any division. If it's through diggers, then great. But we always encourage our franchisees or prospective franchisees to attend the training. It's great small business training. It's a warts and all training. You meet Jim, all that sort of stuff. You get a chance to ask questions. You get to talk to other people going through the same journey. So attending that training doesn't obligate you to move forward either. You've got to do it eventually anyway. And it's a really good chance to understand how we work. It's the Jim's ethos. Jim talks about that. I find that's also another really soft way. If you're really sort of not sure which way you want to go, attend the training, and then after that you can decide which division you want to go for. Diggers is the best, obviously. Go with diggers, but you can decide after you've attended that training.
Well, it's a great point, Paul. I think we don't hide behind NDAs. A lot of franchises have an NDA before you give access to information.
Yeah.
And also the training. I think we're the only one in Australia that I know of doesn't require you to sign a franchise agreement to actually attend the training.
No.
So you're right. Come and see what the training's about if you're interested in it as well. But Paul, is there anything else I should have asked you, which I didn't ask you today?
When we get to 50, hopefully 2026.
There we go. well, 50, because that's a good point, because we have a training lecture.
I'm looking at the sign behind us. I want to be one of those.
All right, so for those who don't know, so you get one of these for 50, which is the first milestone on the wall in our training theatre.
Yes.
So obviously, if you get to 50, you'll get your photo up there or whatever one you want in the lecture theatre. So
yeah.
When's the plan for the end of next year, you were saying?
So 2026, we'd like to be 50.
Yeah.
Again, we've sat down already and started looking at next year. We've, again, based on the unserviced leads that we've got nationally.
We've got the work, that's the thing.
We've got the work. We are just desperate for inquiries. Because we do spend a lot of time with each new franchisee, obviously there's a limit to how many we can add, and that's one of the challenges. And again, contractual obligations around supporting the existing cohort. But yeah, no, we're pretty confident we can add another 10 and obviously continue to retain all the franchisees. Some franchisees leave because they're super successful, and that's great. But yeah, so we just make sure we can keep all of our existing guys, add another 10, get 50 up on the board, and keep going from there.
I'm sure you're going to get there, and we'll do the presentation when we do that next year.
So as soon as I hit 51, I'll be on your phone.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Paul. No, thank you again. And guys, if you are watching this, if you are interested in Jim stickers, please call 131546 or inquire on jims.net as well. And we encourage you to do an observation day, as Paul was saying as well, or head to the Jim Stiggers website. And we hope to see you in training soon. Thanks for coming today, Paul. We really appreciate it.
Great job. Thanks, mate.
So.